All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Carol Crockett, and I have the awesome privilege of co-hosting with Deborah Smith on Build Your Best Life platform. And I am so excited that we're going to just sit down and do a little girls chat this afternoon. And I'm looking so forward to it because as we share our platform, I'm big about the power of words, and I know Deborah's platform is huge about helping young men build their best life. So, Deborah, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Well, listen, let's get this conversation started. So let me just talk to you and tell you a little bit about Deborah. I'm so excited to do this. Deborah is a life coach, a speaker, and an ordained minister. She believes it's better to train early rather than to fix later. I love that. As a personal development life coach, she serves high school and early college age young adults, helping them to build their best life by taking actions to transform their emotions into living the life they want, understanding challenges and negative emotions to encounter the adversity to build strong credibility and growing in respect and admiration, creating a valuable life. In Deborah's studies, she has learned guiding principles to assist young people in the pursuit of building their best life now. Deborah is equipped to help all genders, but specializes in high school and young adult males. Deborah resides in Jacksonville, Florida. She and her husband, Dan, are blessed to have four children: Jermaine, Solandra, Dan, and Christopher. They have six grandchildren. We love those grandchildren: Tiara, Dan the second, and Aubrey and Natalia, Michaela, and Grayson. Did I get those names right, Deborah?
Yes, perfect, perfect.
I'm so excited, and thank you for allowing me to just kind of dig a little bit into things that I know that you're very, very passionate about. Your platform comes from your passion to help young men build their best life. We have in common raising sons alone. It is amazing, and it is really amazing what moms will do for her child or her children, right?
Right, anything.
So, do you have anything that you want to share, that one of those moments that you know it was over and above the things that we would have to do as moms, and especially single moms?
Well, thank you for that question, Carol, and thank you
Uh-huh.
for hosting with me. But it's just amazing when you get that little child in your arms, and everything is just totally different. So, little petty things don't matter anymore, and things of that nature. But having my son young, I'll say I was young, I was 22.
Mhm. Well,
And and he he's the first male in our family.
oh,
And so, there he was, and it was like, oh my goodness. I just taken one look at him, and I just melted. I just loved him so much. And
uh-huh.
God created this being on my behalf. He loaned him to me to raise.
Mm,
So in raising him over the years, there were some struggles or what have you, but I guess it was just a growing passion because it did, as far as he was concerned, I never got tired. It didn't matter. So I could work all day. And for most of his, I'll say until he got in high school, I probably worked two jobs.
mm,
Still able to keep him in different activities. And I was a mom that whatever he was engaged in, I was there. So
wow.
no matter how busy I was, I was never too busy to be there for my child. So,
Hmm.
I just had that passion, that drive. I wanted to be there for him. And I could not understand, why, you had all these, if you had 15 or 20 boys, you might have seen 3 or 4 parents. What
Hmm.
parents? Why would they not want to be here for that child?
Right.
So it was, I guess it just started with that passion of knowing, when someone is depending on you and you have to be there for them and love on them and just do everything that you can for them. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters.
So it's almost like you have to put everything you wanted and you wish for it kind of goes out the door when you get an opportunity to hold that brand new baby because the responsibility changes during that time. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. It is. And that is a huge sacrifice. And just like what you just mentioned, Deborah, that when at any event you would go to and then you look up and there would not be any that many parents there, and that is huge because I know parents as a single mom myself, our kids look for us to be there to support them, and you're right, they don't think moms ever get tired, but we do, but we have to just continue to press on because they are our responsibilities. And you said, God entrusted us with them. And so what a great opportunity for us to be able to have that responsibility and know that we have to opportunity to shape and mold who they become.
All
But
right.
thank you. Well, let's move on a little bit. Your book is called Build Your Best Life. And so I know from just reading it, I can just even feel the passion you have for what you've written. Sometimes we have to make sure we believe what we write and
Mhm.
own it. And I can feel that in your book. So tell everyone about how this passion was sparked initially for you to start taking that passion and then put it in print.
Well, I think, it started when I was younger. And I think, when I started playing with baby dolls, I was one of those always want, love babies.
Uh-huh.
Anytime someone had a baby, I tell my mom, "Can you go get that baby so they can come to our house?" But then when I gave the thought of having kids, I always wanted a little girl. Oh, I want a little girl so I can put the bows in her hair and the frilly
Uh-huh.
socks and all of this good stuff. But then God blessed me, with a son.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, so back, when I had him, we didn't do all the sonograms or whatever. So it's a surprise when you have that baby.
No
But
little bows, huh?
yes, but when I held him and looked at his face and held him in my arms, that hey, it was love at first sight. That this was my love right here.
Right.
And then, like I said, as a single mom, we did everything together, and my family was small, and he was the only male. So, he just got all the love, all the attentions. And I'm sure I made mistakes as I went along because, of course, again, we didn't have any other males in our family. So there was no example for me to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that I did make mistakes, but as I said, at least I tried, because I could see like what other parents weren't at PTA, they weren't
Right.
at games or whatever. But here I am by myself. But I'm at least I'm trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so even back then we had like different stigmas that the young men ran up against. You had the bullies, you had the little cliques, like you get in the sometimes when you get in sports, you don't want to be bothered with anybody else, and they do think little mean things to young men.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I began to see how they would treat young men were treated over the years. And, this thing about driving while you're drunk and stuff like that. You say people say, "Oh, there's no such thing." Well, yes, it is, because my son, I had to tell him, he was fortunate enough that I, could have a car for him to utilize. But again, I had to tell him, now it's okay for you to ride your friends.
Right.
However, you can only ride one, maybe two, but no more than that. And then stop. This is what you need to do, And then you begin to hear nothing but negative things about our young men. I'm like, wait a minute, I have raised young men, and what they're saying is not true. Our young men are smart, they're
Hmm.
motivated, they want to do, they're leaders, they're all of this. So what is missing that's causing people to say these things?
Right.
Yeah, though I've been then there are some young men that don't have these things, but it's not because they don't want them, but they don't have anybody to help them. All they want is a hand up. So that's
Mm.
why my passion just, drives me to want to assist them, to help
Hmm.
them be better.
And that's true because you're absolutely right that uh, the kids that have to go through bullying and being compared in a way that that people want to affect them or make them feel like they don't need to respond, they shouldn't have certain things. And like you said, and a lot of kids, it's not really their fault that they don't have it, but even to just allow him to continue to just push on and not be pulled down by those kind of negative things, and to be able to push on. And so that is so important. But also, I noticed that you did do in your dedication of your book, you dedicated the book to Jermaine, Lamar, and Christopher. Can you share why?
Yes, because those are my examples. So I was an example for them, but they were my why. So
Okay.
I couldn't act up or do things the wrong way because I had someone watching me, and even though I am a female, still, what did I want them to look for in a wife,
Mm.
a lady in
Mm-hmm.
the future? Well, I
Mm-hmm.
had to act a certain way. I didn't want them, some clown or someone that's always profane or, drunk and falling down or whatever. So in order, we can tell them one thing, but
Right.
you got to be an example. So I had to, want to show them different things and be open and honest with them.
Hmm. Yeah, I really love that too because, as a single mom, you don't really have that male figure there living there, but you still want them to know what a male should look like, and you have to teach them. I love what you said, teaching them by examples, but also I think that, just because you're a single mom doesn't mean you don't want them to be successful in every area of their lives. So it's important that you model that for them and pour into them exactly what you, like you said, what you wanted them to look like as a successful husband, because they husband and dad and all those kind of things. So I think that's really important. Did you get a chance to apply many of your principles to their lives that you have written in the book?
Well, yes, I did. I always try to teach my children what I call basic principles, and that
Okay.
is your name sometimes is all you have. So your credibility is important. And that's one of the big basic principles that that I teach in the book and on my platform. You can have be famous today up there, and just like that, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although
And
it
that,
took you, blood, sweat, tears, and years to build your reputation to get that name,
mhm,
um, it can be gone just like that. So, I would tell them, no matter, you have to be careful about what you do, how
exactly.
you do it, who you do it with, because whatever you do today will follow you for the rest of your life. So you may decide one day that you want to be in politics, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be president of the United States. You don't know what you want to be, but the minute that you try to rise, someone is always going to go back and dig whatever they can about you. So you live every day to your fullest. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but
Mm-hmm.
your actions, you need to think before
Mm.
you do things.
Or you act.
Always be careful and
Mm-hmm.
think before you do something. Is this the right thing to do? My mom has taught me to treat people the right way. You know, if I'm with a friend and I think they're getting ready to do something wrong, what should I do? I need
Wow.
to call my mom and go home. you
Mm.
know, I
Great scenarios.
yeah. So
So, Deborah, with that being said, and just to help our younger people today, what do you think about, like you talked about, actions are important, but what do you think about our young people who put different things on their social media page? Does that play a part with their credibility? And can that come back to haunt them sometimes as well?
yes, most definitely. I tell you, I cannot believe, right now I'm in a real busy time in my life, but when I first retired and, Facebook was kind of new to me, and I
Right.
would go out on social media and I would be like, huh? What? Did they really put that out there? And several people would say, "Well, no, I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't want to be." I said, "Girl, you need to get on there, even if you don't use the real name, because you want to have a laugh and you're having a bad day, just go out
Uh-huh.
on Facebook. People tell you everything they do.
Uh-huh.
It's just ridiculous, but people don't realize, as the social media platform has grown, it's not only used by, young people or people just to communicate back and forth, but employers use it
Wow.
today big time. So you
Mm-hmm.
have an employee out there and they're supposed to be out on STD, out
Okay.
whatever. They at the club taking pictures or taking vacations, and they can tell like they're out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And they get back and they're fired. Well, what they
Wow.
do? I was sick. Well, we saw your picture on Facebook,
Wow.
and they show you the bodies or what have
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, those are those things that impact your reputation.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like Vanessa Williams, and she's great, but
Oh, yeah.
no, all of our young people are too young to realize this. But
Mm-hmm.
back when she was Miss America, they took her crown because of something
Yes.
she did. She got paid for posing uh, in a risque photo, and they took her crown away from her because that was something that came back to bite her. So everything you do is not a secret. We know God
Mm.
does, but things have a tendency to come out of the closet. So you just
They
have to
do.
be careful
Mm-hmm.
what you do. And I can't say it enough, young ladies and young men. You should love yourselves first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do put anything out on social media about yourself, not caring what you look like, what you portray about yourself, the type of
Mm-hmm.
language you use,
Mm-hmm.
you are not respecting yourself. You should love yourself enough to want others to respect you, but you have to respect yourself first.
Absolutely. And just like what you were just saying too, things that we put out there, they can come back to haunt you. That's why you talk about that too, that you have to really think about things before you do them, because every time we make a choice, there's a consequence for our choices as well. And so I love sharing that with young people, because I know for a fact that young people have lost scholarships because of things like that. And then you talked about Vanessa, but even that choice, and she might have needed the money, we don't know, but we have to make sure we're thinking things through, because even it could have been a place where she could use the money, but is it going to come back? Because you don't ever know what your tomorrow may bring, but you need to plan ahead. And so that's very good information for our young people to realize, like you say, young men and young women, that we need to make sure that what we put out, on social media or whatever, it can always come back to affect us. And so we want to be careful of that. Well, thank you for that. And did you find that one of your boys kind of needed a little bit more encouraging than the other? You got three, so talk about how they differ and how you had to respond to each one of those different personalities.
Well, of course, they are different, and also they are there are spans in their ages, and
Okay.
I don't. we don't do the step family, stepchild,
Right.
whatever, but we are a blended family. So
Okay.
like,
Mm-hmm.
now my birth kids are 17 years apart. So
Okay.
one that's really older than the other one. So, he got all mom's attention for 17 years, and then we have someone else, but he is the, uh, I'll say, more shy or timid one of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's more sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have to say that mom had something to do with that, because as I stated earlier, I was young when he was coming up. And so therefore I had no example. So while I was there, and I think I did everything that I should have done as far
Mm-hmm.
as being there for him, providing for him, loving on him, telling him I loved him, but I was a yeller. And to this day, he don't have to be yelled at. So we as parents just have to be careful,
Mm-hmm.
what we do and how we do it. And sometimes
Right.
when you're young, you may not know, and what you don't know, you don't know. So you do the best you can.
Exactly.
With him, that was just a little, something, but he was always very, very manable. Um, and I really didn't have any problem out of any of them. My middle son, uh, was raised by my husband and his mom. So I didn't, his younger years, I, didn't have that, part of raising
Right.
him. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from then on, they all three, they are respectful and they listen. And, you always just wondered, they look at you and they know not to talk back or anything, but are they really getting this?
I know, exactly. Yeah, and it's so interesting that, like you said, when you're giving the advice and being mom, and like you said, they don't talk back, so you don't really know if they've gotten it until sometimes you hear them repeat something you might have said, or you kind of see them passing that information down to their children. But you said something else that was pretty interesting because uh, there's probably single moms who, like you said, we did the best we knew how to do. We didn't have a lot of examples and in a male figure there. So how do you tell a single mom, just like what you're saying? And I love that you can look back at that and recognize that, that did, like you say, the screaming. I was a screamer too, so I can relate to that. So how do, as a mother, as we're reflecting back, and we can see some of those issues that probably wasn't the best way to handle things. How do we move past that?
Uh, well, okay, so you're asking how do we get past it, or how do we communicate that to mothers today?
But well, how did you get past it, and then how can we communicate that to mothers? Because sometimes we can get stuck in that situation. Hmm.
Right. So just to get past it, I guess as I grew older, then I learned more. I
Hmm.
read more. I was around other people, and I could, with that had sons, and then you learn as you go, and you have examples or whatever. So today, if I had to go back, I know that it would have been more beneficial, since
Hmm.
I did not know, was to sit down and ask someone. Well, you have a son, your son is 4 years old or whatever, and blah, 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 to get more information and read. We didn't have
Hmm.
Google and all of that back then, but
Hmm.
reading is our best friend.
Right.
Uh,
That's great.
but you get past it, and, sometimes you can leave little scars, and you just have to say, well, you have to forgive me. I did the best that I could do. I did
Hmm.
what I thought I was doing right. And so if I did anything wrong, it was not, out of any malice or anything like that. It was just, I didn't know. I
Just
usually
didn't know.
you know.
Yeah, and and you're absolutely right. We have to just, like you say, recognize that it wasn't the best thing to do, but be okay saying I'm sorry, like you said, and I didn't do this out of malice. I just did this because I just didn't know any better. But so that keeps you from living in regret,
Right.
and that's what we don't want, to do, live in regret. And I always say, once you repented and move on to the next right thing to do, and that's exactly what you're telling our audience that that's exactly what you had to do. And so, and of course, like you said, reading and don't be afraid to ask someone else if you need some help. I think that is so huge to be able to ask. Okay, so you mentioned that you had real conversation with your boy. Real conversation. What's an example of a real conversation you've had to have with those young men?
Well, when they get to be teenagers or whatever,
Mhm.
they think, oh, they get what my mom used to say, get smelling themselves. They think they're grown, they know all the answers, and you have to just bring them back down the side. Like, look, let me tell you, these are some of the things that you need to know.
Uh-huh.
And you cannot, and as a woman, I know that there are things that from a male perspective that I don't know. I will never be able to understand a male, you know, his what is it? His how a man thinks or
His
anything
thinking,
like
yeah.
that. I never will be able to do that. But as a woman, I know some things that women will do,
Mm-hmm.
that will trip up a guy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
will cause you to get yourself in trouble and things
Right.
like that. So I always had those kind of conversations. Like, look, let me tell you, you know, you're not supposed to be having sex.
Okay.
One. Now, if you think that that's something that you just have to do, this is what
Uh-huh.
you need to do.
All right.
Okay, and then I said, and I don't care if a girl tell you she got it covered, you gonna have it covered too.
Now
This
that is real
is
conversation.
real.
And
You know,
not even them to think about anything in between. That is real, and that's really true. I mean, you really have to have those kind of conversations with them because um like you said, some people are out to trick and trap them, and they don't want to be trapped and tricked into anything that's going to affect them the rest of their lives.
all
So
right. And
yeah,
it's the same way, with having a baby out of wedlock. God, of
okay.
course, God doesn't make any mistakes. However, if you're not thinking what you're doing and you get that baby, there's no guarantee you and the mom is gonna be together. It is if it's my child, they're gonna take care of that child.
Right.
But then there probably will always be issues in the future because
Mm-hmm.
you name your, of course. Oh, I'm gonna name him after you. Then years later, you fall in love with someone, you get married, they have a son. Well, we're gonna name him after you. Well, you can't name him after me. I already got a junior. You
Yeah,
know.
we've seen some situations like that with kids with the same name because of that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so there are consequences to all these things that you do. So
Mm-hmm.
listen to your mom. You
Mm-hmm.
might not like what I'm saying. You might be just totally against it. This other thing is like, why can't I go to this place? Why can't I go to that place? Because
Mm-hmm.
friends go because I'm not your friend's mom.
Right, right. And that's
Sorry.
we say sorry, you just can't go. Yeah, that is, because kids need to that I know I had this conversation with my son about, and some of the kids would laugh when I tell them at school that I just did not want him to be out after a certain time at night. I mean, it was just crucial to me that at 6:30 you had to be at home, and I needed to know where you were. But like you said, it's so many other little bitty things that we can share with them about having those real conversations, because it wasn't that I didn't want him to be out. It's just that you're looking at those other things that as a young person they may not even think about, what the consequences could be as far as being out and not being able to locate them at a certain time. So,
All
but
right.
yeah, those are real conversations that we have to have, especially the single mom. You have to really talk to them about everything. And like you said, you can't think like a man, but you can think about what you've seen happen and share that with them.
All right.
So, well, how important do you think having the village involved in raising sons? How important is that village? We've heard talked about it takes a village. So how important do you think that is?
Well, I think it's very important. I can think years ago when that was said, it was
Hmm.
felt, it was meant, and it was done. And I think that young men had more respect for themselves,
Wow.
but
Hmm.
today, they took prayer out of school. So
Oh, wow.
you had that issue. And
Mm-hmm.
then a lot of parents did not want you to say anything to their kids. I had I've worked in children's ministry since I was 16, but
Oh, wow. Hmm.
a young lady, and she would give us so much trouble. And you would try to do whatever. But I know one day I was talking to her, and what did she tell me? She said something she had no business. I don't know if she told me to shut up or she said
Oh,
something.
wow.
And so I went and I told her mom, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh no, that doesn't sound like so and so.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, okay. So I said, from now on, I don't care what she doing, I'm done. I'm just done. But
Uh-huh.
fast forward 2 years from after that, her mom came to me one day. She said, I want to talk to you. I said, okay. If you ever see her doing anything, just slap her in her mouth.
Oh, wow.
Not me. I tried to tell you 2 years ago, you wouldn't listen
Right.
to me.
Uh-huh.
So, you have to have people that want help, because if people try to help and you have an attitude about it, then they're not going to help. But I think it would be so very helpful if you
Hmm.
had people that you could rely on. Now,
Hmm.
it's good to have, your neighbors can help,
Hmm.
parents, your parents,
Right.
coaches or whatever, but you have to be so very careful. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean them going to people's houses and associating with people that you don't know, because that can be the
Wow.
worst thing in the world. They need the village, but they need people that you are talking with.
Mm.
If people let their kids come over to spend the night and they don't even know you, they never met you, they never come to your house, so they don't know if you run a meth lab in your home,
Wow. Hmm.
clean, dirty,
Hmm.
what's going on in there. But they
Hmm.
let the kids come spend the night. I
Right.
never understood that, you know. So you
Yeah,
just
the
have to
village.
be careful.
Right. And you're absolutely right because the when we talked about the village, you're right. It kind of meant your inner family circle or whatever. But now if there's going to be a village, we do have to be very careful. And just because there's a village, we can't neglect our responsibility as far as parents and knowing where our children are and knowing something about them. Because you're right, people will have sleepovers and never think about coming to meet the parents or whatever. So that village has a different meaning now than it used to a long time ago. And I'm glad you kind of shared the difference of what we thought about then and what we have to look at now, because it is so important. Well, what about you talk a lot about choices and you kind of talked about that in the beginning about our choices and choices that our young men make can have continuous and everlasting effect. So choices are crucial. Can you kind of share a little bit about that? Our
Yeah.
choices are so crucial. I think you've talked a little bit about it, but anything else you want to add about choices and how crucial they are?
Well, yes. Most of everything that everyone does comes from a decision they've made. So you got to make a decision one way or the other before you act. And
Okay.
those choices that you make are what's crucial. So you can stop yourself from getting into trouble, from doing the wrong thing, if you just take the time sometime to stop, think, and then act. But
Wow.
your choices are not just what you say. Your choices can be your facial expressions, your voice tone, what you write, what you put out on social media, how you
Mhm.
your movement of your eyes. You know, well, your teacher said you was disrespectful. Well, I wasn't disrespectful. I was just standing there. I never said anything. You didn't say anything, but how were you standing there? You know,
Oh,
your body language. Your body language
got
can
it.
say so much.
Hmm.
So, you know, you need your teacher to be in a partnership with you. So as long as that teacher is doing what they need to do and teaching you, you need to
Hmm.
be friends with that teacher. Because y'all
Exactly.
need a partnership to work together so you can get the best out of that class. You know, now if it's an issue with the teacher, like I would always tell my kids, if there's an issue with the teacher, come tell me. I'll take
Exactly.
care of it. But you better be telling me the truth.
What do you say? You better not have me going up there looking crazy, huh?
Right, because
That's
you
true.
know that has happened before. You know, I had one come and tell me I had to go to the restroom so bad, and my teacher would not let me go. I said, "Well, what was going on?" Just wouldn't let me go.
Uh-huh.
So y'all wasn't taking a test. She just wouldn't let you go to the restroom. She wouldn't let me go. That's okay. I got it. Went up there. Said, "How are you?" Great. I said, "Yeah." And so and so was telling me, you know, yesterday they had to go to the restroom, and you wouldn't. I told him as soon as they finished taking the exam that he could. I said, "Okay." I knew it was a situation. Okay. Oh, I just want to know. You have a great day. When I get home.
This is going to be a very different conversation, huh? I understand. So, you know, and that's so important that you get both sides before you start out trying to make a defensive situation or defend them.
Right.
Because just like you said, you asked, was it a test? Was it a thing? And they said after the exam. So maybe they didn't pick up on that was a test or something, you know. But when you say, okay, I'll take care of this from here on out. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but those
Well,
choices, they are important.
they are important. So getting all the facts and all the information, and like you said, and we have to make sure that we are teaching them that it's important to always think about what you're going to say before you say it. And like you said, those body languages, you know, rolling your eyes up at people and all that because you're not having your way. And that's still having a that's a conversation that you're having with your body language, and it can be disrespectful too. So yes, indeed. Well, Miss Deborah, in your forward, and I know we're getting close here, in your forward, you said there was a word that you talked about, quit, and you gave lots of different things about in the book that you will be challenged. It will challenge you to quit. Can you talk about a few of those things that was said in the book about quit?
Yes, you know, as in trying to assist people to do better,
Uh-huh.
you know, one thing I mentioned earlier, you have to love yourself, respect yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to be positive. You know, this month I'm talking about mindset. Your mindset is so important. So you have to stop always if things don't go right. First thing you say, "Well, I'm quitting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna quit." You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna work this place or that place. I'm not
Mm.
gonna change. So when I talk to people, like one-on-one or whatever, and
Uh-huh.
also on my platform, there are two words that I tell them they need to get rid of right off the bat. And it's
Okay.
CANT. I'm not going to even say it because it's not supposed to be in the vocabulary, but CANT
Uh-huh.
and NEVER.
Okay. Quit and never.
No, can't.
Can't and never. Uh-huh.
Right. So you can't quit all the time. You know, people label our young men as all they want to do is be about that life. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's true for the majority, but you can't always quit when things don't go right. You know, you're in a class, you're not getting it. Well, I'm going to drop this class. No, that's not the thing to do, drop the class.
Mm-hmm.
When you first get in that class, you need to read through everything. This is what I'm going to have to do. I like the dates that you have to turn things in.
Right.
During that first week or two, if you're not getting it, every college that I know of now, they have a slew of tutors right on campus to assist you.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be taking online classes, but if that college is in your town, you can still go by the college, or you can Google stuff and get answers. They Google this for dummies or that for dummies. But you try to get someone to help you first before you just give up.
Mm-hmm.
Keep giving up and giving up. You know, I think, I've gone this job, and as soon as someone asks you to do something that you don't want to do, I'm quit. Nobody gonna be telling me what to do. Uh, why
Wrong
not?
attitude.
Anywhere you go, somebody's gonna tell you what to do. Even if you're
Exactly.
doing business, your customers gonna tell you what to
Mm-hmm.
do. They're gonna tell you
Uh-huh.
first sometimes.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
know, you just can't do that. I said, what would happen if every time I get ready to go to work, and I go to work, and my boss said me do something, and I tell him, I can't. And
Uh-huh.
the moment we don't have no house, what you gonna do?
Uh-huh.
No, you have to.
You have to.
If something's not going on right at the job, and if you look, most times we want a job so bad, they ask us, they say, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Would you like this job? Yes, 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 yes.
Ah.
And then the first time they say, okay, they hired you as an administrative assistant. So you think, okay, I'm going to type and make copies and blah, 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 blah. So they may say, okay, I need you to walk this package over to the other building. They ain't tell me to walk. I have to walk. No. Okay, and it usually says, and other duties as requested.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Have that on there. That's another duty that they're requesting. Put a smile on your face and get your hips moving.
That is so true. I'm telling you, that is so true because our kids sometimes don't think that they have to do anything other than what they signed up to do. But yes, I love what you said. These are the other duties that might be requested of you, and that kind of leaves it open to whatever they ask you to do that you need to do it. So I love that you said that can't and never should ever not ever be in our vocabulary and in their vocabulary, because if it, like you said, if you can't get that work done and you're in college or in high school or whatever, there's someone there to help you if you just simply ask and put your mindset in a position that you're going to ask and you want to succeed. So don't say you can't when you really have an opportunity that you can get it done. And it may take some work to get it done. It may take some extra work, but you have to be persistent and know that you want to succeed in that. So it may be difficult, but it can be done. So yes, and I love what you said about don't ever say never, because we never know what we may have to do in this life before it's over with, right?
Right. Yeah, who thought we would have to walk around with masks on?
Right. And we're having to do it if we want to stay safe and healthy,
Right.
right? Yes. Well, I've had so much fun with this coffee and chatter with you, Deborah. I do appreciate it. So, any last minute thoughts before we start bringing it to a close that you want to share?
Just seeing comments from Angela Cooper Nixon. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so true. Thank you, Angela. And I see some others that are on here, but we thank all of you all who've joined us on this conversation. And I look so forward to our next visit together with Deborah and Carol. Coffee with Deborah and Carol as we chatter. So, chattering is something I know I like to do with my friends. So, thank you, Deborah, so much. And Deborah, would you just share again? I know you put this on your platform all the time, but sometimes we need to have it again. Can you tell everyone how to follow you and how to get the wonderful book that you have written? And I'm looking for mine.
Sure. Of course, please, please, please like and comment and share. We know some of you probably didn't have an opportunity to have our whole conversation, but we were having a ball here. So this is my book, Build Your Best Life. And my passion came out in this book because, like I say, I have a passion to help young men, and I've done research, and I've done the work. I have the basic principles here. I have activities for you to do in the back. But, I was thinking there are so many that need help.
Yes.
And this book is not just for our young adults and youth, but it's for the parents and the educators, the coaches, anybody that can assist them as well. And I was like, well, how can I get this information to people? Because everybody's not going to get on social media. And that was where my book came from. So I have all my basic principles in here to assist. So you can get this book off my website, which is www.buildyourbestlife.org. That's www.buildyourbestlife.org. You can get a copy of the book, an autographed copy, I must say. You can also see all of the other services that I provide, coaching, consultation, webinars, are all out on my website. I have a blog that I drop a new article every Monday. And, if you've heard this conversation we had tonight and you're like, hey, I want my book tomorrow. I don't want to wait till you mail it to me. Amazon.com.
All right.
And they also have the Kindle book as well. So please get your copy. That's www.buildyourbestlife.org. And I am also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And you can get to those easily by going to my website and then just click on the icon to get to those various social media sites. But thank you so much, Carol, for hosting tonight. I enjoyed it. I can't wait till next second Thursday.
Yes, I'm so excited. And so we look so forward to seeing everyone with Deborah and Carol as we drink our coffee and chatter together. So thank you, Deborah. And I look forward to seeing everyone on the second Thursday night. Thank you.
All right. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I think we had Judith and Angela, Dan, and Peggy were the names I saw. So thank all of you so much for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful day and be safe.
Stay safe. Good evening.